After a week of driving the all-new 2020 Porsche Taycan, I remain in awe and unable to aptly describe how epically good this electric car is. In fact, I shouldn't be surprised. It is a Porsche after all. I am almost speechless, but I'll do my best to give you a few details on this extraordinary automobile. Now, there were only two cars that I was really looking forward to, or that I really wanted to drive in calendar year 2020, and one of them was the C8 Corvette, and well, that hasn't happened, but you know what, it doesn't matter because I have this car this week, and I've put many hundreds of kilometers on it. It is a 2020 Porsche Taycan. But unlike most reviews you'll see or read, this isn't a turbo or a Turbo S. No, it's, well, what I've coined, I don't know, the People's Taycan, because it's the base car currently offered in Canada and in the US. It is a 4S. Base price in Canada, $119,400, $103,800 in the US. People's Taycan because, in a sense, for those who can't afford to purchase a Taycan, I think the 4S, even without driving the Turbo or Turbo S, offers the best balance of everything that the Taycan is, which is styling, technology, performance, all of that rolled into one. I think this is the best example. Yes, the Turbo and Turbo S are much faster, but in the real world, a 0 to 100 km/h sprint in 4 seconds is plenty fast. My car, actually, when I picked it up, I'll be honest, I was a little bit disappointed. It's volcano gray. I wanted something a little bit flashier. I knew about the 19-inch wheels because these are the winter setup. It doesn't have the 20-inch wheels as it was originally supposed to be spec'd with. However, the more I stare at it, when I park it and walk away and turn around and look back at it, the more I get the sense that this is an even more special car because it's almost trying not to be noticed. It's flying under the radar. It's like, you don't need to look at me because there's nothing special to see here. And yet this past week I've yet to find the proper words to describe what this car has done to my experience as an auto journalist, having driven thousands of cars over the last 2+ decades. This car has, I'm going to do my best to try and mention or explain what driving this car is, and that's really what seals the deal if the styling doesn't do it for you already. For that price, you do get the Porsche Advanced Cockpit with the 16.8-inch curved screen. I'll show that to you in a moment. 10.9-inch central screen and the 8.4-inch console display, adaptive air suspension, which explains why this car is so squat. My car has the Performance Battery Plus, which is standard for now in Canada and the US. It also has the glass roof, which is kind of cool, I suppose, as opposed to the metal roof, which is also standard for the moment in Canada. So that's the premium package, which also includes cooled seats, Bose audio. There's also an adaptive cruise control and a few other features for $148,200. Now, in all my time as a journalist, it doesn't happen very often where I will say that a car in this price range is worth every dollar asked for it. But this is a very rare exception. I mean, I might think that the E63 S-Wagon, which I recently reviewed, and the RS6R, but that's me being biased for minivans, wow, station wagons. That's where my mind is right now, I guess. Anyway, let's just do the usual tour. So, power hatch. So that reveals almost 16 cubic feet of trunk space, or just over 400 liters. It's not huge, but it's workable. You could potentially squeeze a golf bag across there thanks to the openings at the bottom. Speaking of openings, there's this little hidden gem of a bin under there. That's the cable that comes with the car that needs to be plugged in to a 240 volt outlet. I did have my kids in the seat in the back seat, the kids' seats in the back seat, because that's what I do as a parent. And it is very snug back there. In fact, this is a 5-seater. As you can see, there are 3 belt buckles, but it's really for 2 across. Getting in and out can be a little bit, well, challenging, but once you get in, Decent legroom, if you can see that. It's getting dark already. Headroom is very, very snug, but once you're in place, you are comfortably supported and held and happy. My car, also part of the fact that it's kind of subdued and flies under the radar, is the gray interior, which has grown on me tremendously. I've always loved this color in 911s or Cayennes and other vehicles, and somehow it just fits the counterintuitive nature of this car. It's gorgeous. Let's just slide in. It's already on. So here's your nearly 17-inch curved display, which is fully configurable. So you'll see the yellow ring that lets you toggle through the different menus. This is your 10.9-inch screen in the center. As you can see, I've set it on low, but look, everything works pretty well. That's not right. It works very, very well. All kinds of menus and features. This is your kind of redundant screen where you'll have your HVAC. You can also control your audio, the various settings here too, and your heated, cooled seats. This also had a heated steering wheel. The button is hidden back here, so if ever you're looking for that, right there, it'll click. See? Click, click. That's the heated steering wheel. Just in case you were wondering. Storage is okay. I mean, you really don't need to know this kind of stuff for the Taycan, but on my long 16-hour day with the car on my road trip, we filled it up quite well. The thing with this car, as I sit behind the steering wheel, that's sexy. I mean, that's just the right proper word. It feels so incredibly intimate. I feel like I'm sitting in a 718 or a 911 or any Porsche car. My position, where I sit amongst the controls, the cockpit sense of this car is identical to every other Porsche, and it's magical. Visibility is pretty good. You can see through there. The pillar is fat, but it doesn't really bother visibility because you can see that all the time. I swear on the highway, it's just incredible, and it's just as good from the passenger side. The car is, like I said, there's your Bose audio. Look, we're gonna go for a spin in a moment, but to look at the car, you would assume that it's, you know, it won't blow your mind, but it's so much more than that. It's incredible. See, I told you, I'm having a hard time using the right words, but let's just do this. Driving the Porsche Taycan is an exceptional experience. Normally at this point I would give you loads of information about specs, but everything is available. Everything's been said about how quick it is. This car, even though it's only the 4S, is unbelievably fast. 4 seconds 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. In the real world, do you really need anything else than that? Anything more? Look, a few specs, I have no choice, but 93.4 kilowatt hour battery. This has a performance battery plus, which means that the 2 electric motors, direct drive, 2-speed transmission in the back, which normally produce 482 horsepower, have an overboost function, which bring outputs to 562 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque. Like I said, it's fast. EPA indicated range, estimated range is 203 miles, which works out to about 330 kilometers. I can attest, confirm that every time I did have a near full charge on this thing, the indicated range was well over 330 kilometers if I hovered 95% or more. So what I want to tell you a little bit more about is how this car drives, and maybe just a snapshot of the charging experience. In fact, I'll just start with that. I did a long road trip with this car, about 650 kilometers both ways, and as a Porsche Taycan owner, not me, but you do have access to unlimited 30-minute high-speed charging access for the first 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, with Electrify Canada, which is cool. I wanted to experience that. I was going to Ontario. And in a nutshell, the 350 kilowatt chargers did not agree with the Taycan, unfortunately, despite this car being capable of 270 kilowatts of charging. But the 150 kilowatt charging stations and the Taycan got along swimmingly. This thing was just swallowing 146 kilowatts, if memory serves, without hesitation. That was its peak. So normally at max charging capability, this car will do a 5 to 80 percent state of charge in only 22 and a half minutes. On a 50 kilowatt hour charger, it'll take about 93 minutes, but I pushed it all the way to like 99% the last time I used a 50 kilowatt charger. So it took a little bit longer than that, but suffice it to say that this car still is very much capable of doing some spectacular things. Yeah, it is an 800 volt architecture. Performance battery plus, it just gives you that extra power, that extra range, that extra capability. In time, as the charging network improves, it'll get better. I mean, I did have to stop 4 times to recharge, but that was because I was running out of time. I had an event to get to. And we were in blizzard conditions, which is my real only issue right now with charging stations, which are out in the open, which aren't covered. Especially have to wait, say, up to an hour for a lesser charger to recharge, to replenish your Taycan or any EV's battery for that matter. Now, I mentioned blizzard, and that made me realize more so how spectacularly superior this automobile is on the road, no matter the driving conditions. And superior is the word that continues to echo in my mind. Rarely, if ever, I've ever driven a car that feels so riveted, so attached to the driving surface like the Taycan. I mean, in the blizzard conditions, on snow, piling up on the highway, I was still driving as though the surface was dry like it is today. It's the confidence that this car builds, pushes into the driver as it motors along is uncanny. It can't be measured in words, only in feel. And you factor in steering that is weighty, that still transmits a little bit of what's going on with the road. In fact, a lot for an EV of what's going on with the road surface. Extremely powerful and responsive brakes. As far as response is concerned, I do have to say regen braking is on first, and then you go into mechanical braking, which, depending on the drive modes, I've been in normal this whole time, you can feel it, can slightly become not a nuisance, but look, bottom line is that you can feel it, but you get over it really, really fast because the brakes are equally as powerful as this car's forward thrust. You feel isolated from what's going on around you, yet so in contact, in a direct line of communication with the car, with its chassis. The air suspension gives you a degree of comfort, but a degree of control, adaptive dampers. Like I said, it's difficult to quantify in words how good this car is. Not just as an EV, but as a car you drive. Oh, and Porsche's electric engine noise is spectacular as well. This is a better car than the Model S. I've driven a P100D, and although the P100D was faster than this one, speed is just one thing, right? But performance, capability, handling, confidence, everything is superior in this car. The Taycan is worth absolutely every penny that Porsche wants for it. And I don't usually say that, or it doesn't happen very often. But this is an extraordinary automobile. Extraordinary.